Hare Krishna, we'll start with the invocation prayers. Nana Shastra Vicharinako Nipano Saddharma Samstapako Lokanamita Karano Tribhuvane Manyo Sarina Karano Radha Krishna Padar Vinda Bhajana Anandena Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalago Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopalago He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutadevi Panamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarupascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Thank you all for coming to hear and listen Srila Prabhupada and Krishna's instructions, as well as take responsibility for applying these learnings in your day-to-day life. Today, we will revise Nectar of Devotion, chapters 15 and 16, which are on Raganuga Bhakti and Ragatmika Bhakti. We should have time towards the end of our class where I will show a visual of how my spiritual master, His Grace Vaisesika Adhikari, initiated a prisoner in a prison house. So let's first discuss Nectar of Devotion, chapters 15 and 16. I will do the presentation for these two chapters. So chapter 15 is titled Spontaneous Devotional Service, which is Ragatmika Bhakti. And chapter 16 is described or titled Spontaneous Devotion, further described. So spontaneous devotional service means Ragatmika Bhakti. Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti is based on the mood or the rasa of Raganuga devotee who is trying to follow a Ragatmika devotee. So I will go slow today. These terms are similar sounding and little heavier topic. So the Raganuga devotee tries to follow a devotee in Ragatmika Bhakti. So Ragatmika Bhakti means Ragatmika devotee is already a pure devotee. And the Raganuga devotee is trying to follow the Ragatmika devotee or the pure devotee, so that the Raganuga devotee perfects his mood by following the one who is in Ragatmika Bhakti with the same mood. An example to understand is that a Raganuga devotee in the mood of Vatsalya Rasa is wanting to perfect his mood of Vatsalya Rasa. So he would find a Ragatmika devotee serving in the mood of Vatsalya Rasa and the Raganuga devotee will follow and learn from the Ragatmika devotee how to perfect the Vatsalya rasa so that the Raganuga devotee can reach Ragatmika bhakti level. Ragatmika means Ragatmika devotee has already perfect spontaneous attraction for Krishna, is completely absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. The Ragatmika bhakti is mainly visible in residents of Vrindavan. So Ragatmika pure devotee is not following any other devotee. Ragatmika devotee is already in perfect spontaneous love of Krishna. Ragatmika devotee has perfected his devotional service. Examples are cowherd boys playing with Krishna. So let's understand Raganuga. So Raga means deep attachment and Anuga means to follow. So Raganuga means Raganuga devotee wants to develop intense feeling for Krishna like Ragatmika devotee. Raganuga is trying to follow a Ragatmika devotee. Raganuga devotee is trying to reach Ragatmika level. Raganuga devotee has the same mood as Ragatmika devotee, but Raganuga is not perfected as the Ragatmika devotee. Ragatmika is perfected. Therefore, Raganuga is categorized under sadhana bhakti, while Ragatmika devotee has already perfected his devotional service. So if you recall and what you see on the screen, the Nectar of Devotion overview chart. So we have the second wave as Sadhana Bhakti. Sadhana Bhakti has Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. So Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti chapters are 15 and 16, which we are discussing today, right now. So from Nectar of Devotion, chapter 2, the definition of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti says that I am doing devotional service because of scriptural rules and regulations, plus because of the order of my spiritual master. I am doing japa and reading scriptures not because I love to do japa. Rather, I am doing japa, I am reading scriptures because I have been told to do so. So this is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, because when the inspiration for doing sadhana comes from anything other than natural attraction to service, it is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. While Raganuga means one is spontaneously attracted. So in Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, one performs devotional service because one has natural attraction to Krishna. Raganuga devotee is not dependent on scriptural injunctions for their inspiration to serve and surrender to Krishna, meaning no one needs to tell the Raganuga devotee to chant 16 rounds of japa daily. It is natural for him. The Ragatmika devotee who has perfected his devotional service, he does not count 16 rounds of japa daily because he is constantly chanting, he is constantly in remembrance of Krishna. So 16 rounds of japa is sadhana bhakti, whether it be Vaidhi sadhana bhakti or Raganuga sadhana bhakti. Now, if you do not read Srila Prabhupada books, it may seem that Raganuga bhakti is pure devotional service. But in reality, Raganuga bhakti is sadhana bhakti. Of course, Raganuga level is very advanced level, but Raganuga is still within sadhana bhakti. Raganuga level is not our goal. Our goal is to come to Bhava Bhakti and to Prema Bhakti. So Srila Narad Muni has provided 6 categories for those who are attracted to Krishna. We are understanding Ragatmika here. So these 6 categories are lusty desires that the gopis have, fear of Kamsa, envy of Shishupal, the relation of Vrishnis and Yadus, the affection of Pandavas, and the 6th category is devotees like Narad Muni. So which of these are Ragatmika from these 6, or which of these 6 are not Ragatmika? So out of these 6 categories, 2 are Ragatmika and remaining 4 are not Ragatmika. So the 2 which are Ragatmika is first is the lusty desires of gopis, and the 4th category, the relation of Vrishnis, provided the relation is not in the mood of awe and reverence. Now, not all Vrishnis are in Ragatmika. So category number 1, the gopis' lusty desires, and category number 4, the relation of the Vrishnis, are Ragatmika, with the understanding that category number 4, not all Vrishnis are at Ragatmika. All these 6 categories, they are, yes, they have attraction to Krishna in different ways, but not everything is Ragatmika. For Ragatmika, the main qualification is that relationship should be in the mood of love. So fear of Kamsa, envy of Shishupal, affection of Pandavas, and devotees, these are not Ragatmika. Of course, the Pandavas and devotees are devotees. Pandavas, of course, are pure devotees, but they are not at Ragatmika level. So these 4 categories, number 2, fear, Kamsa, 3, envy, Shishupal, affection, Pandavas, number 5, and number 6, devotees like Narad Muni, they are not in the mood of love, rather are in the mood of awe and reverence. Therefore, mood of awe and reverence is not Ragatmika. Of course, Kamsa is fear and Shishupal is envy are completely different. So pure devotees in the mood of love are in Ragatmika Bhakti. Pure devotees in the mood of awe and reverence, such as Pandavas, such as Narad Muni, they are not in Ragatmika. Yes, they are pure devotees, but not in the mood of love. Therefore, they are not in Ragatmika Bhakti. So another example is all in Vaikunta. They are all pure devotees. But everyone in Vaikunta is not in Ragatmika Bhakti because everyone in Vaikuntha is in the mood of awe and reverence. In this chapter, a point about Siddha Pranali is described. That advanced devotees internally are fully absorbed in Krishna, uh, and they are fully realized. But externally, such devotees behave like a neophyte. Now, a Siddha Pranali devotee is a devotee who prematurely imagines that he has attained eternal spiritual form. And Srila Prabhupada warns us to be careful of this Siddha Pranali process, that don't artificially jump that I have become advanced. An example is that while doing japa, one imagines, oh, I can see Shri Shri Radha Krishna. I am so elevated. Oh, this is Siddha Pranali. Be very careful. Don't go at this level. Don't artificially jump your level. So don't artificially jump, just stay humble. Now, Ragatmika, there are two categories. So I will run through slides on the screen. Ragatmika Bhakti has two categories. Kamarupa means sensual attraction, and Sambandha Rupa means relationship. So Kamarupa, sensual attraction, consists of devotees with intense desire to satisfy the Lord in conjugal love. Now understand that this sensual attraction, the word sensual attraction, is to make us understand the force of the attraction of the devotees. And this sensual attraction does not refer to sensual attraction as we know in the material world. The gopis' attraction to satisfy Krishna, the force of which is beyond my ability to comprehend. Therefore, by comparing to mundane lust, the single most consuming and overwhelming urge in our experience, we may catch the slightest of hint of the intensity of the gopis' desire to serve Krishna. I'll repeat this key point. We may catch the slightest of hint of the intensity of gopis' desire to serve Krishna, because gopis' desire to satisfy Krishna is beyond my comprehension. Kama Rupa is also Sambandha Rupa, but Srila Rupa Goswami separates Kama Rupa from Sambandha Rupa just to highlight the greatness of Kama Rupa, means to highlight the greatness of gopis' attraction to satisfy Krishna. Sambandha Rupa means relationships consist of devotees with intense desire to satisfy the Lord as his parent or friend. So these two categories under Ragatmika are Kama Rupa and Sambandh Rupa. So we are trying to understand Raganuga, and Raganuga will follow Ragatmika. Similarly, in Raganuga, there are two categories which mirror the categories of Ragatmika. So the two categories of Raganuga are Kamanuga, which is a mirror of Kamarupa, and second category of Raganuga is Sambandhanuga, which is a mirror of Sambandha Rupa of Ragatmika. Kamanuga has further two subcategories. One is the mood of heroine. This is not recommended. Therefore, the box is in red color. Meaning somebody is trying to be Srimati Radharani or wants to be in the mood of Srimati Radharani. This is not recommended. Rather, for us as Rupanugas, Rupanuga means followers of Srila Rupa Goswami, we all are Rupanugas. That what is recommended for us is the mood of heroines made. Therefore, the box is highlighted in green with a green tick mark. That we should be in the servant mood. Similarly, a Sambandhanuga also has two categories. One is aspiring for direct parenthood of Krishna. Again, the box is in red and not recommended. Is very dangerous and is Mayavad concept that somebody is trying to be parent of Krishna means he's trying to be above Krishna. And the second category recommended for us, again the box is in green with a green tick mark, is aspiring for service and appreciation for Krishna's parents and Krishna's friends. This is recommended for us. So I request all of you to please take a snapshot of what you have on the screen for your reference at some point of time in future. So this point of why aspiring for direct parenthood of Krishna is dangerous, which we'll read in the chapters very soon, that aspiring to be Krishna's parent means you are aspiring to be above Krishna. This is very dangerous. And this is Mayavad philosophy. So from these charts, the two boxes with red X means to be in the mood of heroine, means wanting to be Srimati Radharani, is not recommended for us. And the other box under Sambandhanuga, to aspiring for direct parenthood of Krishna, is not recommended. This is Mayavad and very dangerous. What is recommended for us is under Kamanuga is the mood of heroines made. That do not strive to directly serve Krishna, rather serve the devotees of Krishna in parampara. Just as at the Toronto temple when we go for services, we serve devotees who are serving their spiritual masters. And spiritual master is serving their spiritual master to Srila Prabhupada. And this way the parampara goes, the service goes all the way to Srimati Radharani, and Srimati Radharani offers to Krishna. That's the proper way, mood that we have, that we should be servant of the servant of Krishna. And instead of direct parenthood of Krishna, appreciate or cherish Krishna's parents, such as Nand Maharaj and Mother Yashoda. Don't try to be direct parent of Krishna. Now, if you recall our nectar of instruction overview slide, which I also have on the screen, you will notice that I have two lines on the left side in terms of progression from initial Shraddha as step number 1 to step number 8 is Bhava and step number 9 is Prema. So this is the overview chart of nectar of instruction, not devotion, instruction. So either from Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti or from Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, one can reach to Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. Or there can be a combination of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and then the devotee switch over to Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Now, it is not an exact dividing line, but you will notice that the line for Raganuga is slightly blurry from the start and gets bolder around step number 4. Step number 4 is Anartha Nivriti stage. So it's not an exact dividing line, but Raganuga generally starts becoming more prominent after Anartha Nivriti stage or just around there. Meaning after Anartha Nivriti stage, one becomes qualified for Raganuga Bhakti. Now, although one may be in Raganuga from start, but it becomes very evident that the devotee is in Raganuga Bhakti after this Anartha Nivriti stage. Again, this is not an exact dividing line. It's an approximation of where this might become more prominent. So Raganuga Bhakti is very advanced stage. One cannot prematurely jump to Raganuga. Raganuga Bhakti is above regulated principles. Now, this does not mean Raganuga devotee rejects regulative principles. Rather, Raganuga devotee practices regulative principles more intensely. The Raganuga devotee's inspiration to serve Krishna comes from their own spontaneous affection. Raganuga devotee does not depend on scriptural injunctions to serve and surrender to Krishna. Raganuga is not perfected Ragatmika. Ragatmika is perfected. Raganuga means one has an ambition to become like a particular Ragatmika devotee. Qualifications for Raganuga is intense lobha, intense eagerness to serve a particular Ragatmika devotee. Lobha means intense desire, soul desire, overwhelming desire to please Krishna in a particular rasa. As long as there is some other desire in my heart, then the required intensity of focus will be lacking. Therefore, such intense lobha to serve Krishna cannot awaken until the devotee achieves steadiness after the anartha nivriti stage. Only after the anartha nivriti stage, only after thoroughly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, being freed of unwanted desires, one possesses the qualification for practice of Raganuga Bhakti. The last point I want to discuss is how to practice Raganuga Bhakti. So first practice of Raganuga Bhakti is to meditate on the relationship of service between Krishna and his dear devotee, who is in Ragatmika level. Raganuga devotee should always think of Krishna within himself and choose a very dear devotee serving Krishna in Vrajvas, who is a Ragatmika devotee, and follow him. Raganuga should constantly engage in topics about this Ragatmika devotee and his loving relationship to Krishna. Plus, try to live in Vrindavan. Means mentally live in Vrindavan, means live in the mood of Vrajvas. And second is how to think of this Vrindavan devotee, the Ragatmika devotee, and absorb himself in his loving service. Raganuga devotee should follow the activities of Ragatmika associate of Krishna in Vrindavan. Perform devotional service externally as a regulative devotee and internally serve Krishna from his elevated, realized position. I have done a very heavy topic discussion. I will pause here for any questions, comments, realizations before we start reading the chapters.
Hare Krishna. Yes, please, Nataji. Sorry.
Abhishek, go ahead.
I have two questions. One is that we don't, maybe just a comment that we don't see Raganuga Bhakti as a openly, like probably which you just mentioned, it's an openly practiced stage. it seems to me. And the question is that because it is probably not so openly practiced, I also don't know if Srila Prabhupada has, like, or I don't see examples of such from whatever I've read about him or around him much.
So it's not that Raganuga is not practiced widely. Rather, you need to have the eyes to see who is a Raganuga devotee. It is definitely practiced. There are many devotees in Raganuga. You come to Toronto Temple, and Abhishek, you have been there, but I think you have only been there for once or twice. So for those who are devotees, I'll give you one example. There are many from Toronto Temple. I'll give you one example. For devotees who are in Toronto who know Anumati Mataji. She is a pure devotee. You see her absorption in serving Krishna is mind-boggling. That she is, of course, in Vatsalya Rasa. That when she makes this sweet from yogurt, or when she bakes, those are her specialities. That when she bakes something, and she takes the plate up to the altar, and she will come down and she will literally pump, just as you see sports people pumping themselves when they win a point. She will pump exactly like this. Yes, Krishna is now going to enjoy. I'm telling you, literally, she will have her feast clamped and she will literally pump. Yes, Krishna is now going to enjoy this. I mean, you cannot find this in ordinary devotees practicing day-to-day Vaidisana Bhakti, right? So she is an example. I'm giving one example. So it's a matter of seeing through Shastra Chakshu that who has that Raganuga capacity. Abhishek, does that help?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Yeah, second question.
I think both are same only. Thank you.
All right, Nitya.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Ragatmika is the perfected devotee completely in the mood of love. So the Ragatmika Raganuga Bhakta follows the Ragatmika. The Ragatmika Bhakta is still under sadhana bhakti, or do they still move on to an elevated platform, Prabhu?
Ragatmika, elevated devotee, is not sadhana bhakti. Ragatmika is perfected. They are in pure love. Vrajvasis, the cowherd boys and the gopis, they are in Ragatmika. They are not doing sadhana bhakti. They don't count 16 rounds. They are chanting 24 hours. Raganuga is sadhana bhakti. Nitya?
Thank you, Prabhu. So Ragatmika is at Prema Bhakti level.
Correct.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Rest of you?
We two clarification. Can I?
Yeah, one at a time.
Prabhuji, you said the Pandavas and Narada Muni are not in Ragatmika level.
Correct.
And simultaneously, yes, you said all in Vaikuntha are in perfect mood. These two, I request once again a repetition, please.
Yeah, very good. So you are correct that Pandavas and Shri Narad Muni are pure devotees, and everybody in Vaikuntha is pure devotee. But all these Pandavas, Shri Narad Muni, every single devotee in Vaikuntha, they are not in Ragatmika Bhakti because their attraction to Krishna is in the mood of awe and reverence. Therefore, they are not in Ragatmika. So we discussed that Ragatmika is in the mood of awe and Ragatmika is in the mood of pure love, and therefore it's only the gopis who are in mood of pure love, and from the relations, only those who are in the mood of pure love, they are in Ragatmika. Rest of the devotees of the relation, the Vrishnis and the Yadus, they are all pure devotees. Just their mood is in the mood of awe and reverence. Therefore, they are not Ragatmika. So I'll repeat just to summarize that gopis and the relation, those in relation in the mood of pure love are Ragatmika. Other devotees like Pandavas, like Narad Muni, like those in relation in the mood of awe and reverence, or everybody in Vaikuntha, all these are in the mood of awe and reverence. They are all pure devotees, just not in Ragatmika. Chandran, everybody?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Everybody on the same page? Ask questions. I'm pretty sure this is a heavy topic, and I spoke non-stop for such a long time.
Prabhu, why are Suchupan and Kamsa mentioned in this context? I mean, they were in fear and envy. Yes, they did, reach they were able to recognize the absolute truth in the end. But why are they discussing this junction?
Yeah, so it's the attraction point is being highlighted, right? So Kamsa, for about 8 to 10 plus years from the time of hearing the Akashvani that the 8th son of Devaki and Vasudev will kill Kamsa. So from that point on, Kamsa was in complete remembrance of Krishna. And therefore, Srila Narad Muni highlights that his remembrance was like very, very high. Even I don't, Narad Muni says, even I don't have that much. Yeah, of course, it's a humility of Srila Narad Muni. But then he points out that Kamsa is remembering Krishna not to love Krishna. Rather, he is trying to kill Krishna. So the definition of pure devotional service says, Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam. It says Anukulena, that what is favorable for Krishna as Krishna desires, that is pure devotional service. So in the Anyavilashita Shunyam verse, this third and the fourth line, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Uttamam. This third and the fourth line is known as the primary characteristics of pure devotional service. And the first two lines, Anyavilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadhyana Vratam, are the secondary characteristics of pure devotional service. Similarly, Shishupal also, of course, Shishupal is, of course, a special category also, that they are actually Jai Vijay. Shishupal, that is brother, who came to serve Krishna in the mood of anger. But the point is that Shishupal was also having envy. Of course, this is a longer Leela described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapters 13 to 19, the Varahate pastime, that how Jai Vijay got cursed. And they took 3 birds as demons to serve Krishna. Nitya, everybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Nitya, does that help?
Yes.
Abhishek?
When we hear in like topics where like acharyas and Srila Prabhupada, they speak about uh, topics related to Vrindavan or Vraj Bhakti, worshipping Govardhan, and that mood, they are like more on Ragatmika like level, like mode. Uh,
So, so Prabhupada definitely is a pure devotee. And Prabhupada taught us that stay humble and stay away from Krishna's intimate pastimes. So that's what Prabhupada kept highlighting to all of us. And that's why he says that, say, when you go to Rajwas, say to Radhakund, go in the mood of serving Radhakund, meaning serving the devotees who are serving at Radhakund. Right? So Prabhupada always asked us to stay away from the topics such as Ras Leela. Right? We don't have to so much focus on Prabhupada's level. Rather, what is Prabhupada's instruction for us? Right? We have to, therefore, this Siddha Pranali point is explained very importantly in this chapter. Then don't artificially think yourself, oh, I have become so elevated. Look, I got darshan. No. Stay very far away. So we'll soon read that paragraph. The Prabhupada specifically says, be very careful. Don't artificially jump. So that's the direct instruction Prabhupada has said. And we also saw on the slide with the two green tick marks that be a servant of the servant of the servant of the servant in the hierarchy of millions of servants ahead of you. Be the very last. And Krishna will see you first. Abhishek.
Thank you, Ravi. This is very helpful.
Very good inquiry. Thank you all for listening with rapt attention, although I spoke for such a long time. Everybody ready to read from the chapters?
Yes, from
All right. So chapter number 15, I request all of you to number your paragraphs 1, 2, 3 like this. And I will point you to read few paragraphs. Vimal Prabhu will start reading. So chapter 15 on my Nectar of Devotion book is on page 119. So start reading from the start and read 4 paragraphs. The 4th paragraph starts, the gopis may be considered to be examples of spontaneous love. Read 4 paragraphs.
Chapter 15, Spontaneous Devotion Service. Example of spontaneous example of spontaneous devotion service can be easily seen in Krishna direct associate in Vrindavan. The spontaneous dealing of the residents of Vrindavan in relationship with Krishna are called ragatimika. These beings don't have to learn anything about devotional service. They are already perfect in all regulative principle and have achieved the spontaneous, loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For example, the cowhead boys who are playing with Krishna do not have to learn by uh, austerities or penances, or yogic practice, how to play with him. They have passed all tests of regulative principles in their previous lives, and as a result, they are now elevated in the position of direct association with Krishna as his dear friends. The spontaneous attitude is called Ragha Timika Bhakti. Srila Rupa Goswami has defined Raghatimaka Bhakti as spontaneous attraction for sometimes while completely absorbed in thoughts of it with an in intense desire of love, devotional service executed with such feeling of spontaneous love is called Raghatmaka Bhakti. Devotional service under the reading of Raghatmaka can be further divided into two categories. One category is called sensual attraction and the other is called relationship. In the connection in the connection, there is a statement by Narada Muni to Yudhishthira in the seventh canto, first chapter, verse 30 of Srimad Bhagavatam. There, Narada says, My dear king, there are many devotees who first become attracted to personality of Godhead for, purpose of sense gratification from being envious to him out of fear of him or from desire to associate affectionately with him. Ultimately, these attractions becomes freed from all material contaminations and gradually the worshipper develops spiritual love and achieve the ultimate goal of life desired by the poor devotee. The gopis may be considered to be example of spontaneous love in sensual attraction. The gopis are young girls and Krishna is young boy. Superficially, it seems that the gopis are attracted to Krishna on grounds of sex. Similarly, King Kamsa was attracted to Krishna because of fear. Kamsa was always fearful of Krishna because it had been foretold that his sister's son Krishna would kill him. Shishupal was also always envious of Krishna. The descendants of King Yadu, due to their family relationship with Krishna were always thinking of him as one of their members. All, all of these different kinds of devotees have a spontaneous attraction for Krishna in different categories, and they achieve the same desired goal of life. Hare Krishna. Thank you,
All
Prabhuji.
right, thank you. Shivangi will read from paragraph number 5, starting the attraction of the gopis for Krishna, and finish reading paragraph number 8, which starts. Srila Rupa Goswami is trying here.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I read for Shivangi?
For sure.
The attraction of the gopis for Krishna and the affection of the members of the Yadu dynasty are both accepted as spontaneous or raganuga. The attraction of Kamsa to Krishna in fear and the attraction of Shishupala and envy are not accepted as devotional service. However, because their attitudes are not favorable, devotional service should be executed only in a favorable frame of mind. Therefore, according to Srila Rupa Goswami, such attractions are not considered to be in devotional service. Again, he analyzes the affection of the Yadus. If it is on the platform of friendship, then it is spontaneous love. But if it is on the platform of regulative principles, then it is not. The only when affection comes to the platform of spontaneous love is it counted in the category of pure devotional service. There may be some difficulty in understanding that both the gopis and Krishna and Kamsa achieve the same goal. So this point should be clearly understood because the attitudes of Kamsa and Shishupal were different from that of the gopis. Although in all these cases the focus is on the Supreme Personality of Godhead and all of the devotees are elevated to the spiritual world, there is still a distinction between these two classes of souls. In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that the Absolute Truth is one and that he is manifested as the impersonal Brahman, Paramatma Supersoul, and Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here is a spiritual distinction. Although Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagwan are the same and one absolute truth, devotees like Kamsa or Shishupal could attain only to the Brahman effulgence. They could not have the realization of Paramatma or Bhagwan. That is the distinction. An analogy can be given with the sun globe and the sunshine. To remain in the sunshine does not mean one has gone to the sun globe. The temperature of the sun globe is different from the temperature of the sunshine. One who has gone through the sunshine in jet planes or in spaceships has not necessarily gone to the sun globe. Although the sunshine and the sun globe are actually one and the same, still there is a distinction. For one is the energy and one is the energetic source. The Absolute Truth and his bodily effulgence are in the same way simultaneously one and different. Kamsa and Shishupala attained to the Absolute Truth, but they were not allowed to enter into Goloka Vrindavana abode. Impersonalists and the enemies of the Lord are, because of attraction to God, allowed to enter into his kingdom, but they are not allowed to enter into the Vaikuntha planets or the Goloka Vrindavana planet of the Supreme Lord. To enter the kingdom and to enter the king's palace are not the same thing. Srila Rupa Goswami is trying here to describe the different achievements of the impersonalists and the personalists. Generally, those who are impersonalists are inimical to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, get entrance only into the impersonal Brahman when and if they reach spiritual perfection. The impersonalist philosophers are in one sense like the enemies of the Lord, because the out and out enemies of the Lord and the impersonalists are both allowed to enter only into the impersonal effulgence of the Brahma Jyotir. So it is said to be understood that they are of a similar classification. And actually, the impersonalists are enemies of God because they cannot tolerate the unparalleled opulence of the Lord. They try always to place themselves on the same level with the Lord. That is due to their envious attitude. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has proclaimed the impersonalists to be offenders of the Lord. The Lord is so kind, however, that even though they are his enemies, they are still allowed to enter into the spiritual kingdom and remain in the impersonal Brahma Jyotir, the undifferentiated light of the Absolute.
Very good. Nitya will read. Starting from paragraph number 9. Paragraph number 9 starts, sometimes an impersonalist, and finish reading before the topic sensual attraction.
Sometimes an impersonalist may gradually elevate himself to the personal conception of the Lord. Bhagavad Gita confirms this. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me. By such surrender, an impersonalist can be elevated to the Vaikuntha Loka, the spiritual planet, whereas a surrendered soul, he attains bodily features like those of the Lord. In the Brahman and the Purana, it is stated, those who have achieved liberation from material contamination and those who are demons and are killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead become absorbed in the Brahman concept of life and reside in the spiritual sky of the Brahma Jyoti. That spiritual sky is far beyond the material sky, and it is confirmed also in Bhagavad Gita that beyond this material sky there is another eternal sky. The enemies and the impersonalists may be allowed to enter into this Brahman effulgence, but the devotees of Krishna are promoted all the way to the spiritual planet. Because the pure devotees have developed their spontaneous love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are allowed to enter into the spiritual planet to enjoy spiritual bliss in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the 10th canto, 87th chapter, verse 23rd of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Vedas personified address the Lord in this way. My dear Lord, yogis meditate upon your localized feature, and thus they achieve the spiritual perfection of being merged in the impersonal Brahmajyoti. Persons who treat you as an enemy achieve the same perfection without meditating. The gopis who are embraced by your serpentine arms and who have such lusty attitudes also achieve the same perfection. And as far as we are concerned, being different demigods in charge of the different parts of Vedic knowledge, we are always following in the footsteps of the gopis. Thus, we hope to attain the same perfection. By the same perfection, we must always remember the example of the sun and the sunshine. Those who are impersonalists can merge into the sunshine like Brahmajyoti, whereas those who are in love with the Supreme Person enters into the supreme abode of the Lord Goloko Vrindavan. The lusty attitude of the gopis does not refer to any sort of sex indulgence. Srila Rupa Goswami explains that this lusty desire refers to the devotee's particular attitude of association with Krishna. Every devotee in his perfection stage has a spontaneous attraction to the Lord. This attraction is sometimes called the lusty desire of the devotee. The lust is the devotee's excess desire to serve the Lord in a particular capacity. Such a desire may seem to be a desire for enjoying the Lord, but actually the endeavor is to serve the Lord in that capacity. For example, a devotee may be desiring to associate with the personality of God as a cowherd friend. He will want to serve the Lord by assisting him in controlling the cows in the pasturing ground. This may appear to be a desire to enjoy the company of the Lord, but actually it's spontaneous act, serving him by assisting and managing the transcendental crowd.
But Chandran Prabhu will read the topic of sensual attraction till end of chapter 15.
Hare Krishna. Sensual attraction. This extreme desire to serve the Lord is manifest in the transcendental land of Vrija, and it is specifically manifested among the gopis. The gopis' love for Krishna is so elevated that for our understanding it is sometimes explained as being lusty desire. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kaviraja Krishnadasa, has explained the distinction between lusty desire and the service attitude in this statement. Lusty desire refers to the desire to gratify one's personal senses, and transcendental desire refers to the desire for serving the senses of the Lord. In the material world, there is no such thing as a lover's wanting to please the senses of his beloved. Actually, in the material world, everyone wants mainly to gratify his own personal senses. The gopis, however, wanted nothing at all but to gratify the senses of the Lord. And there is no instance of this in the material world. Therefore, the gopis' ecstatic love for Krishna is sometimes described by scholars as being like the lusty desire of the material world. But actually, this should not be taken as a literal fact. It is simply a way of trying to understand the transcendental situation. Great devotees up to the standard of Uddhava are very dear friends of the Lord, and they desire to follow in the footsteps of the gopis. So the gopis' love for Krishna's certainly not material lusty desire. Otherwise, how could Uddhava aspire to follow in their footsteps? Another instance is Lord Chaitanya himself. After accepting the sannyasa order of life, he was very, very strict about avoiding association with women. But still, he taught that there is no better method of worshipping Krishna than that conceived by the gopis. Thus, the gopis' method of worshipping the Lord, as if impelled by lusty desire, was praised very highly even by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This very fact means that although the attraction of the gopis for Krishna appears to be lusty, it is not in the least bit material. Unless one is fully situated in the transcendental position, the relationship of the gopis with Krishna is very difficult to understand. But because it appears to be just like ordinary dealings of young boys and girls, it is sometimes misinterpreted to be like the ordinary sex of this material world. Unfortunately, persons who cannot understand the transcendental nature of the love affairs of the gopis and Krishna take it for granted that Krishna's love affairs with the gopis are mundane transactions, and therefore they sometimes indulge in painting licentious pictures in some modernistic style. On the other hand, the lusty desire of Kubja is described by learned scholars as being almost lusty desire. Kubja was a hunchbacked woman who also wanted Krishna with a great ecstatic love. But her desire for Krishna was almost mundane. And so her love cannot be compared to the love of the gopis. Her loving affection for Krishna is called Kama Praya, or almost like the gopis' love for Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Very good. So those of you who ask questions about Kamsa and Shishupal, we read through in the chapter where Prabhupada describes this at great length. Everybody okay? Any follow-up questions?
Hare Krishna. The last statement about Kubja, so when it is said that it is like almost lusty desire, but at the same time it is also desire for Krishna. So, like, I'm not sure how to see that relationship.
Yeah, so Kubja example is what we should not follow. That Kubja wants to be Srimati Radharani. Right? Her desire was lusty more than to satisfy Krishna more. Therefore, Prabhupada makes the comparison that Gopi's desire to serve Krishna is not lusty, it's to serve Krishna. But Kubja's desire was more on the lusty side. Therefore, we don't follow Kubja, we follow the Gopis, as in servant of Gopis. Abhishek. All right, let's read chapter 16. Chapter 16 has topics, so each one of you will read topics. Malti will read. Malti just signed off. Matan will start reading chapter 16, the topic relationship, and the topic eligibility for spontaneous devotional service.
Hare Krishna. Spontaneous devotion further described relationship in the attitude of the denizens of Vrindavan, such as Nanda Maharaya and Mother Yasoda, is to be found the ideal transcendental concept of being the father and mother of Krishna, the original personality of Godhead. Factually, no one can become the father or mother of Krishna, but a devotee's possession of such transcendental feeling is called love of Krishna in a parent relationship. The Vrishnis, Krishna's relatives at Dwaraka, also felt like that. So, spontaneous love of Krishna in the parent relationship is found both among those denizens of Dwaraka who belong to the dynasty of Vrishni and among the inhabitants of Vrindavana. Spontaneous love of Krishna as exhibited by the Vrishnis and the denizens of Vrindavana is externally existing in them. In the stage of devotional service, where regulative principles are followed, there is no necessity of discussing this love, for it must develop of itself at a more advanced stage. Eligibility for spontaneous devotional service. Persons desiring to follow in the footsteps of such eternal devotee of the Lord as Vrishnis and Vrindavana denizens are called Raganuga devotees, which means that they are trying to attain to the perfection of those devotees. These Raganuga devotees do not follow the regulative principles of devotional service very strictly, but by spontaneous nature they become attracted to some of the eternal devotees such as Nanda or Yasoda, and they try to follow in their footsteps spontaneously. There is a gradual development of the ambition to become like a particular devotee, and this activity is called Raganuga. We must always remember, however, that such eagerness to follow in the footsteps of the denizens of Braja, Vrindavana, is not possible unless one is freed from material contamination. In following the regulative principles of devotional service, there is a stage called Anartha Nivritti, which means disappearance of all material contamination. Sometimes someone is found imitating such devotional love, but factually he is not freed from anarthas or unwanted habits. It has been such that a so-called devotee proclaims himself a follower of Nanda, Yasoda, or the gopis, while at the same time his abominable attraction for mundane sex life is visible. Such a manifestation of divine love is mere imitation and has no value. When one is actually spontaneously attracted to the loving principles of the gopis, there will be found no trace of any mundane contamination in his character. Therefore, in the beginning, everyone should strictly follow the regulative principles of devotional service according to the injunctions of the scriptures and spiritual master. Only after the stage of liberation from material contamination can one actually aspire to follow in the footsteps of the devotees in Vrindavan. It is said by Rupa Goswami, when one is actually liberated from material contamination, he can always remember an eternal devotee in Vrindavana in order to love Krishna in the same capacity. And developing such an attitude, one will always live in Vrindavana, even within his mind. The purport is that if it is possible, one should go and physically be present at Brajabhumi, Vrindavana, and be engaged always in the service of the Lord, following the devotee in Braja Dharma, the spiritual realm of Braja. If it is not possible, however, to be physically present at Vrindavana, one can meditate anywhere on living in that situation, wherever he may be. One must actually think about life in Braja Dharma and about following in the footsteps of a particular devotee in the service of the Lord. A devotee who's actually advanced in Krishna consciousness, who's constantly engaged in devotional service, should not manifest himself, even though he has attained perfection. The idea is that he should always continue to act as a neophyte devotee as long as his material body is there. Activities in devotional service under regulative principle must be followed even by pure devotee. But when he realizes his actual position in relationship with the Lord, he can, along with the discharging of regulative service, think within himself of the Lord under the guidance of a particular associate of the Lord and develop his transcendental sentiments in following that associate. In this connection, we should be careful about the so-called Siddha Pranali. The Siddha Pranali process is followed by a class of men who are not very authorized and who have manufactured their own way of devotional service. They imagine that they have become associates of the Lord simply by thinking of themselves like that. This external behavior is not at all according to the regulative principles. The so-called Siddha Pranali process is followed by Prakrita Sahajya, a pseudo sect of the so-called Vaishnavas. In the opinion of Rupa Goswami, such activities are simply disturbances to the standard way of devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami says that learned acharyas recommend that we follow the regulative principle even after the development of spontaneous love for Krishna. According to the regulative principle, there are 9 departmental activities as described above, and one should specifically engage himself in the type of devotional service for which he has a natural aptitude. For example, one person may have a particular interest in hearing, another may have a particular interest in chanting, and another may have a interest in serving in the temple. So these or any of the other 6 different types of devotional service, remembering, serving, praying, engaging in some particular service, being in a friendly relationship, or offering everything in one's possession should be executed in full eagerness. In this way, everyone should act according to his particular taste.
Very good.
Conjugal.
Abhishek Prabhu, the topic conjugal love and parenthood or friendship.
Hare Krishna. Conjugal love. Devotional service following in the footsteps of the gopis of Vrindavan or the queens at Dwarka is called devotional service in conjugal love. This devotional service in conjugal love can be divided into 2 categories. One is indirect conjugal love, the other direct. In both these categories, one has to follow the particular gopi who is engaged in such service in Goloka Vrindavan. To be directly attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in conjugal love is technically called Keli. This Keli performance means to directly join with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are other devotees who do not wish direct contact with the Supreme Person but who relish the conjugal love affairs of the Lord with the gopis. Such devotees enjoy simply by hearing of the activities of the Lord with the gopis. The development of conjugal love can be possible only with those who are already engaged in following the regulative principles of devotional service, specifically in the worship of Radha and Krishna in the temple. Such devotees gradually develop a spontaneous love for the deity, and by hearing the Lord's exchange of loving affairs with the gopis, they gradually become attracted to these pastimes. After this spontaneous attraction becomes highly developed, the devotee is placed in either of the above mentioned categories. The development of conjugal love for Krishna is not manifested in women only. The material body has nothing to do with spiritual loving affairs. A woman may develop an attitude of becoming a friend of Krishna, and similarly, a man may develop a feature of becoming a gopi in Vrindavan. How a devotee in the form of man can desire to become a gopi is stated in the Padma Purana as follows. In days gone by, there were many sages in Dandakaranya. Dandakaranya is the name of the forest where Lord Ramchandra lived after being banished by his father for 14 years. At that time, there were many advanced sages who were captivated by the beauty of Lord Ramchandra and who desired to become women in order to embrace the Lord. Later on, these sages appeared in Gokula Vrindavan when Krishna advented himself there, and they were born as gopis or girlfriends of Krishna. In this way, they attained the perfection of spiritual life. The story of the sages of Dandakaranya can be explained as follows. When Lord Ramchandra was residing in Dandakaranya, the sages who were engaged in devotional service there became attracted by his beauty and immediately thought of the gopis in Vrindavan, who enjoyed conjugal loving affection for Krishna. In this instance, it is clear that the sages of Dandakaranya desired conjugal love in the manner of the gopis, although they were well aware of the Supreme Lord as both Krishna and Lord Ramchandra. They knew that although Ramchandra was an ideal king and could not accept more than one wife, Lord Krishna, being the full-fledged personality of Godhead, could fulfill the desire of all of them in Vrindavan. These sages also concluded that the form of Lord Krishna is more attractive than than that of Lord Ramchandra, and so they prayed to become gopis in their future lives to be associated with Krishna. Lord Ramchandra remained silent, and his silence shows that he accepted the prayers of the sages. Thus, they were blessed by Lord Ramchandra to have association with Lord Krishna in their future lives. As a result of this benediction, they all took birth as women in the wombs of gopis at Gokula, and they had desired as they had desired in their previous lives, they enjoyed the company of Lord Krishna, who was present at the time in Gokul Vrindavan. The perfection of their human form of life was thus achieved by their generating a transcendental sentiment to share conjugal love with Lord Krishna. Conjugal love is divided into two classifications, namely conjugal love as husband and wife, and conjugal love as lover and beloved. One who develops conjugal love for Krishna as a wife is promoted to Dwarka, where the devotee becomes the queen of the Lord. One who develops the conjugal love for Krishna as a lover is promoted to Gokul Vrindavan to associate with the gopis and enjoy loving affairs with Krishna there. We should note carefully, however, that this conjugal love for Krishna, either as gopi or as queen, is not limited only to women. Even men can develop such sentiments, as was evidenced by the sages of Dandakaranya. If someone simply desires conjugal love but does not follow in the footsteps of the gopis, he is promoted to the association with the Lord at Dwarka. In the Mahakarma Purana, it is stated great sages who were the sons of fire gods rigidly followed the regulative principles in their desire to have conjugal love for Krishna. As such, in their next life, they were able to associate with the Lord, the origin of all creation, who is known as Vasudeva or Krishna, and all of them got him as their husband. Parenthood or friendship. Devotees who are attracted to Krishna as parents or as friends should follow in the footsteps of Nand Maharaj or Subala, respectively. Nand Maharaj is the foster father of Krishna, and out of all friends of Krishna, Subal is the most intimate in Rajbhumi. In the development of becoming either the father or friend of Lord, There are two varieties. One method is that one may try to become the father of the Lord directly, and the other is that one may follow Nand Maharaj and cherish the ideal of being Krishna's father. Out of these two, the attempt to directly become the father of Krishna is not recommended. Such a development can become polluted with Mayavada, impersonal philosophy. The Mayavadis or monists think that they themselves are Krishna, and if one thinks that he himself has become Nand Maharaj, then his parental love will become contaminated with Mayavad philosophy. The Mayavad philosophical way of thinking is offensive, and no offender can enter into the kingdom of God to associate with Krishna. In the Skand Purana, there is a story of an old man residing in Hastinapur, capital of the kingdom of the Pandus, who desired Krishna to be his beloved son. The old man was instructed by Narada to follow in the footsteps of Nand Maharaj, and thus he achieved success. This is the statement in the Narayan Vyuhastava prayers that persons who are always engaged in thinking of Lord as their husband, friend, father, or well-wisher are always worshipable by everyone. This spontaneous love for Krishna can be developed only by the special mercy of Krishna or his pure devotees. This process of devotional service is sometimes called Pushti Marg. Pushti means nourishing and Marg means path. Such development of sentiment nourishes devotional service to the highest standard. This is called the path of nourishment of Pushti Marg. The Vallabha Sampradaya, which belongs to the Vishnu Swami sect of Vaishnava religion, worships Krishna in this Pushti Marg. Generally, devotees in Gujarat worship Bal Krishna under this heading of Pushti Marg.
All right, very good. Questions, comments, realizations? All right, so I have on the screen the schedule. So next week, April 26th, we will finish our Nectar of Devotion revisions. We'll discuss chapters 17, 18, and 19. So last week's, my request to all of you didn't do much. So I request again, all of you to please choose the Shishopanishad presentations and to please connect with me immediately for your bigger presentations. Not everybody has done it. So please do so. You are approaching this very, very soon. So start with choosing the Shishopanishad presentations. Nitya has done so far, and connect with me for the bigger presentation right away. So I have a question for all of you. How many of you are saturated by doing these presentations? I've been doing presentations for almost a year now. How many of you are saturated? I thought everybody would have said yes. Yes, no, somebody? It's either a yes or no. Silence doesn't tell me anything.
I would say no. It feels a lot of work. It is a lot of work every time.
So no for what? Yes.
It's not a saturation, like it's not the same. It's not a same thing in that sense. Like it is always, it involves a lot of effort.
Yeah, I understand effort, but are you not saturated doing presentations for the whole year?
No problem.
All right, Nitya.
Prabhuji, actually, it has become easier, I feel, for me. So when you ask me, then I'm able to immediately go back and read. And no, I think it's become easier, the process. So when you ask for it, and also there is actually was working on my bigger presentation yesterday and was feeling a little bit of joy when everything was coming together. And I was saying, oh, this is so good. So no, it's good.
Okay, rest of you, very good. Silence doesn't answer anything. Are you saturated or not?
No.
All right, those who are silent are having fear to say yes. So I'll take your answer, your silence as yes, that you are saturated. So why I was asking this question is that these upcoming presentations, meaning the Sri Upanishad presentation and your bigger presentation, are your last presentations in a very, very long time. I will soon discuss the new process starting from Canto number 3 onwards, where these presentations will no longer be there. So these are your last opportunities to do your presentations. I'm hoping that would be a relief for some, at least for those who stayed silent in responding to the question. All right. So next point I'm going to discuss is that when a devotee is ready for initiation, that's when the spiritual master arrives, or that's when Krishna sends the spiritual master to the disciple, wherever the disciple will be. So I will play a short clip of my spiritual master, His Grace Vaisesika Adhikari, initiating a prisoner in the prison. And now this prisoner is doing preaching activity to other prisoners in the prison. So the disciple is still in the prison, but he is doing preaching activity in the prison. And I'll play this video and then we'll read some verses, and I'll also then show a practical live example from our batch. So let me first play. Listen and see, and then share your comments and realizations.
In America, there was this one person who was put behind bars. It's a real story. He ended up killing 2 people who are not white, and he was put behind bars. And so he was inside the jail, and somehow by the kind arrangement of Nityananda Prabhu, he got in contact with ISKCON's prison ministry and got inspired. And after that inspiration, he started chanting. He started chanting 16 rounds. He started reading books and was so inspired that now he was aspiring for initiation, all inside the jail. Now, how do you get initiation inside the jail? You have to be at least outside, right? To even approach a guru, you have to be outside. Kahan se diksha lenge? So inside the jail, he was every day meditating that how I can get initiation. And somehow he got in touch with Sripad Vaisesika Prabhu from ISKCON of Silicon Valley. And when Vaisesika Prabhu heard this story, he got in correspondence with this jail person who was there behind bars. And look at Vaisesika Prabhu's compassion. He flew to Phoenix, Arizona, where this person was put behind bars, met him inside the jail, initiated him, and gave him the name Balavan Nitai Das. Now he's inside the jail chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, initiated devotee, and he's blissful. So when the other inmates ask him, how are you so blissful? He gives them the Bhagavad Gita. Now he is doing preaching inside.
Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhu truly speaks to the compassion of Guru Maharaj, and how much, he's just to his greatness and compassion.
Absolutely correct. So we'll read some verses on this, that our scriptures are very relevant and very practical. They are not just some concept. So first verse we'll read is Bhagavatam 3.31.21 purport, the last paragraph, where Prabhupada explains that Krishna consciousness cannot be checked in any circumstances. So I'll bring up on screen. So this 3:31:21 is explaining. Let's see the last paragraph. So this chapter 31 is talking about the soul's movement within the womb of the mother. And even within the womb, the soul can perform Krishna consciousness. So last paragraph, all of you have read. Whosoever wants to read, I don't know if Shivangi is available. Last paragraph, it may be questioned herein. Or whosoever wants to read.
Prabhuji, can I read it?
Yeah.
It may be questioned here in how the child can be fully Krishna conscious within the womb of the mother without any paraphernalia with which to execute Krishna consciousness. It is not necessary to arrange for paraphernalia to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. The child wants to remain within the abdomen of its mother and at the same time wants to become free from the clutches of Maya. One does not need any material arrangement to cultivate Krishna consciousness. One can cultivate Krishna consciousness anywhere and everywhere, provided he can always think of Krishna, the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, can be chanted even within the abdomen of one's mother. One can chant while sleeping, while working, while imprisoned in the womb, or while outside. This Krishna consciousness cannot be checked in any circumstance. The conclusion of the child's prayer is, let me remain in this condition. Although it is very miserable, it is better not to fall a victim to Maya again by going outside. Hare Krishna.
Right, so this Krishna consciousness movement cannot be checked in any circumstances. We saw from the prisoner story, not a story, but a real fact. The next verse we'll read is 4.8.25, that when the disciple is ready, that's when Krishna sends his representative, the spiritual master. So 4.8.25 is on Dhruv Maharaj, that Dhruv Maharaj is 5-year-old boy, has gone to forest. He says, I want to attain a kingdom bigger than my father and grandfather. But then Krishna sees his real intent also. And Krishna sends Narad Muni to initiate Dhruv Maharaj into this process. Whosoever wants to read translation and purport.
Prabhu, I can.
Nitya, go ahead.
The great sage Narada overheard this news, and understanding all the activities of Dhruva Maharaja, he was struck with wonder. He approached Dhruva and touching the boy's head with his all virtuous hand, he spoke as follows. Purport. When Dhruva Maharaja was talking with his mother Sumiti of all the incidents that had taken place in the palace, Narada Ji was not present. Thus, the question may be raised how Narada Muni overheard all these topics. The answer is that Narada Muni is the Saikalanya. Chaitanya. He is powerful that he can understand the past, future, and present of everyone's heart, just like the Super Soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, after understanding the what is- Therefore, after understanding the strong determination of Dhruva Maharaja, Narada came to help him. It may be explained in this way. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is present in everyone's heart, and as soon as he understands that a living entity is serious about entering devotional service, he sends his representative. In this way, Narada was sent to Dhruva Maharaja. This is explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Guru Krishna Prasade Thaya Bhakti Lata Bhaji. By the grace of the spiritual master and Krishna, one can enter into devotional service. Because of Dhruva Maharaja's determination, Krishna, the Super Soul, immediately sent his representative Narada to him.
Right, so he is present in everyone's heart. And as soon as he sees that the devotee is ready, that's when the Lord sends his representative as spiritual master, just as Krishna sent Sri Narad Muni as spiritual master for Dhruv Maharaj. This is how we get Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. This is how we get the Bhakti Lata Bij. And we'll read one more verse, which is 1.19.36. Explains the same point, that when a disciple is ready, Krishna sends his representative, his bona fide representative spiritual master. Abhishek Prabhu, you want to read translation purport for space?
Yes, Guruji. Otherwise, without being inspired by Lord Krishna, how is it that you have voluntarily appeared here? Though you are moving incognito to the common man and are not visible to us who are on the verge of death. Purport. The great sage Sukdev Goswami was certainly inspired by Lord Krishna to appear voluntarily before Maharaj Parikshit, the great devotee of the Lord, just to give him the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam. One can achieve the nucleus of the devotional service of the Lord by the mercy of the spiritual master and the personality of Godhead. The spiritual master is the manifested representative of the Lord to help one achieve ultimate success. One who is not authorized by the Lord cannot become a spiritual master. Srila Sukdev Goswami is an authorized spiritual master, and thus he was inspired by the Lord to appear before Maharaj Parikshit and instruct him in the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam. One can achieve the ultimate success of going back to Godhead if he is favored by the Lord, sending his true representative. As soon as the true representative of the Lord is met by a devotee of the Lord, the devotee is assured a guarantee of going back to Godhead just after leaving the present body. This, however, depends on the sincerity of the devotee himself. The Lord is seated in the heart of all living beings, and thus he knows very well the movement of all individual persons. As soon as the Lord finds that a particular soul is very eager to go back to Godhead, the Lord at once sends his bona fide representative. The sincere devotee is thus assured by the Lord of going back to Godhead. The conclusion is that to get the assistance and help of a bona fide spiritual master means to receive the direct help of the Lord himself.
Right, so it depends on the sincerity of the devotee. And that's when the Lord sends his representative. So the last line says, the conclusion is to get assistance from the bona fide spiritual master means to receive direct help from the Lord. Now, these two examples of Dhruv Maharaj and Parikshit Maharaj seem to be quite far in the past. So you would be like, well, these are too far. Yeah, the prisoner story is recent, not a story, but a fact is recent. But I'll give you a live example from our class. So I have visual on the screen that our dear Archana and her entire family recently visited Mayapur. So a couple months back, when I spoke with many of you devotees for your initiation, I sent a message. I personally sent a message to one of the mentor for Archana. I never heard back from the mentor. And I was like, I don't know what is going on. I did not hear back from the mentor at all. I was just waiting and waiting and waiting. So this is Archana, and this is our dear Devraj, Vaikunta Kid Devraj. So the entire family is doing book distribution in Mayapur. The day Archana came back to Toronto from Mayapur, the mentor herself called me. Oh, I have to connect with Archana by herself for months earlier message. So you can see that when the Lord sees the sincerity, that's when the Lord sends the representative. That's exactly is a live example from our class that the mentors. So mentors are also helping in the process of initiation as the first step. And that's exactly what happened live for Archana as well. Questions, comments, realizations?
Today, I want to say it's auspicious day, Akshaya Triti. Is there any significance about this one?
So it's a long discussion. I can forward it to you and you can read by yourself. It's an auspicious day that devotional services carry a lot more weight, additional benefits. So try to do more devotional services today on the Akshaya Triti day. It's an auspicious day.
Prabhu, can I just clarify something on our bigger presentation?
Yeah.
So at the presentation, on the day of the presentation, will we be doing just a screen share and then do our slides and discuss the whole presentation and then present it?
Correct.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, so the purpose of the bigger presentation is that you engage devotees, rest of the devotees in your talk, meaning the devotees will either read something or recite or you make quiz. So that whichever option works for you, or a combination or all of them, whichever way works for you all.
Thank you.
So last point today is there's a question posted in the chat on Nectar of Devotion discussion. Question says that devotees sometimes pray to have Lord as their son. But that's different from someone trying to take place of Nand Maharaj, which is not recommended. So correct point. So you will hear these in upcoming discussions that devotees prefer to have Lord as their son because son demands service from the parent. So devotees want to serve. Therefore, they want the Lord as the son so that they can serve the Lord. And they don't want Lord as the parent because then the devotee will end up demanding from the Lord. Therefore, the devotees always want Lord as the son and not Lord as the parent. Does that help with the inquiry?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I was confused because earlier we read that someone who is in a particular mood should try to become the servant of the person who has devotee who has perfected that mood. Like father parental mood should try to become servant of Nand Maharaj, but not take the position of him, like become the father of Krishna. But here it seems that devotees do want to become father of Krishna.
Yeah, so these are special situations, right? And Krishna does not let anybody and everybody be their parent, right? So these are all elevated devotees who get to be the parent of Krishna. So we should not. The instruction for us is don't try to be parent. Otherwise, we are trying to be above Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
All right. Okay. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, bro.